Welcome to today's deep dive. I'm Aaliyah,
And I'm Avery.
and we are so glad you were here with us because today we're talking about something literally everyone listening to this has experienced.
Oh, without a doubt.
Right. Okay, so picture this. It is 6:00 p.m. on a Thursday. You're staring down at the glowing screen of your phone, and you just feel this overwhelming, heavy sense of dread right in the pit of your stomach.
Ugh, yes. The worst feeling.
It really is. And the cursor in your text app is just blinking at you, like a metronome counting down to your own social doom.
It's so aggressive, that little blinking line.
Because, you made plans with a friend days ago, back when you were full of energy and weekend optimism. But right now, you're completely exhausted. All you want to do is put on sweatpants and stare at a blank wall.
But that guilt of actually sending the cancellation text is just absolutely paralyzing.
Paralyzing. But here's the thing, and this is kind of the mission of our deep dive today. What if I told you that the psychology of a successful, guilt-free cancellation actually has very little to do with how good your excuse is?
Right. Which is wild to think about.
Exactly. It has almost everything to do with the specific syllables and phrases you choose.
Which completely flips the script on how we view these interactions.
Yeah.
I mean, we look at that blinking cursor, and it suddenly feels like we are holding the fate of an entire friendship in our hands.
Yeah.
The anxiety you're feeling in that moment, it isn't actually about the dinner or the movie you're skipping. It's this deeply rooted fear of how your absence is going to be interpreted by someone you really care about.
Right. It feels like a literal survival threat. Like, if I cancel, I'm out of the tribe.
Exactly. So today we're unpacking the social art, the linguistics, and the psychology of canceling plans politely. Based on our source material, we're looking at a specific set of conversational strategies and, for those of you learning English, some incredibly useful English phrases that act as social lifesavers.
The ultimate goal here is to help you figure out how to gracefully bow out of commitments without burning any bridges. And honestly, how to actually use these moments to strengthen your relationships.
Which is such a vital skill to develop, because what we see so often in human behavior is that people force themselves to attend events just to avoid being perceived as, rude or flaky.
Oh, for sure. We've all done it.
They actively sacrifice their own physical and mental well-being to appease this unwritten social contract. But when you understand the linguistics of boundary setting, it transforms the whole dynamic. It changes a cancellation from what feels like a cold, hard rejection into a warm preservation of the relationship.
Ooh, warm preservation. That is a great way to frame it. Because the alternative is what we can call the guilt trap.
The dreaded guilt trap.
Right, where people say yes to absolutely everything.
Oh,
we
God.
overbook ourselves because, evolutionarily speaking, we are terrified of being rejected.
Yeah, if we don't show up to the watering hole, we subconsciously fear we're going to be left out in the cold.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So because we lack the courage, or honestly, maybe just the vocabulary to cancel, we suffer quietly, we drag ourselves at the door, and we show up tired, grumpy, and let's be honest, we aren't even good company.
No, you're really not. You're physically present, but you're socially absent.
Yeah.
You're just taking up space and projecting all this exhaustion, which doesn't serve you, and it certainly doesn't serve your friend. So, to escape this, we have to look at the most foundational, versatile phrase you can keep in your social toolkit. And it is elegantly simple. It's just 3 words.
Okay, lay it on us.
Something's come up.
Okay, I need to push back on this right out of the gate.
Oh, really? Okay, go for it.
Because if a friend texts me at 5:00 p.m. and just says, hey, I can't make it, something's come up, part of my brain immediately goes on high alert.
Sure.
I start thinking, are they hiding something? Is this just a flimsy, generic excuse because they got a better offer? It just feels like a cliffhanger, And honestly, a little too vague.
I mean, that is a completely natural reaction. But if we view this through the lens of social psychology, the effectiveness of something's come up actually relies precisely on that vagueness.
Wait, really? The vagueness is what makes it work.
Yes. Think about it. We currently live in an era of massive oversharing. Social media has kind of conditioned us to feel like we owe everyone a completely transparent, exhaustive explanation of our daily lives.
Oh, yeah. Like we have to provide a doctor's note for skipping drinks.
Exactly. But you don't. You don't owe everyone your entire life story, especially when you're simply overwhelmed or mentally drained. So something's come up acts as a mechanism for boundary setting.
Okay, so you're saying the vagueness is a feature, not a bug.
Precisely. It prevents the other person from acting as a judge and jury over the validity of your excuse. Let's say you text your friend and say, I'm canceling because I'm just too tired.
Right.
You're giving them specific information that they can now evaluate. Yeah. They might sit there and think, well, I worked a 10-hour shift today too, and I'm tired, but I'm still making the effort.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you've inadvertently invited a comparison.
You have. But something's come up is like an unassailable social shield.
Yeah.
It indicates an unexpected event has occurred, and when delivered warmly, it protects your privacy. It essentially communicates, I have a valid reason, but I am choosing not to unpack all the details right now.
That makes a lot of sense. By not giving them the specific details, you aren't giving them the ammunition to debate your exhaustion.
Exactly.
And it is honest because hitting a wall of fatigue is technically something that came up, but it keeps the boundary intact.
It does. And this brings us to the actual execution. Because once you've made the decision to protect your energy and cancel, how you construct that text message dictates the entire emotional response of the receiver.
Right, like the anatomy of the cancellation.
Right.
When you look at the linguistics of a text message, the very first sentence is doing like almost all of the heavy lifting.
Oh, absolutely.
If you launch straight into the negative news, just boom, I'm not coming tonight, it feels incredibly harsh. The brain processes that abruptness as a direct threat or a personal rejection.
Yeah, it triggers an immediate defensive response. You're essentially delivering a verbal shock to their system.
So to bypass that defense mechanism, the sources suggest using soft openers. Things like, I hate to do this, or I feel terrible, but it seems like such a tiny tweak. But linguistically, it completely changes the temperature of the conversation.
It changes the temperature because it immediately signals empathy.
Mm-hmm.
By opening with, I hate to do this, you are actively aligning yourself with the other person's anticipated disappointment.
You're getting out ahead of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're preemptively validating their feelings. Instead of positioning yourself in opposition to them like you're the bad guy ruining their night, you are essentially sitting next to them and saying, hey, I'm not happy about this outcome either.
It shifts it from an adversarial event to a shared disappointment.
Exactly.
Okay, so you use the soft opener, and then comes the actual delivery of the no. And there's a really sharp linguistic distinction here between saying, I can't come, versus saying, I'm not going to be able to make it.
Oh, this is fascinating.
To me, I can't come as a brick wall. You are running full speed and you just slam into it. It hurts. But I'm not going to be able to make it is like hitting a mattress. It is the exact same result. You aren't going to the dinner, but the impact is totally diffused.
That mattress effect is entirely rooted in cognitive processing and syllable count.
Syllable count.
Yeah. I can't come is 3 syllables. It's
Yeah.
abrupt, blunt, and highly finalized. But phrasing it as, I'm not going to be able to make it, is 10 syllables. It physically lengthens the sentence, which naturally slows down the delivery and the cognitive processing speed for the reader.
Oh, that's brilliant. So you're diffusing the negative impact over a longer period of time.
You're literally cushioning the blow with extra words. And furthermore, look at the vocabulary itself. Using the phrase to make it, which for those learning conversational English just means to successfully attend an event, it implies that a journey or an effort was attempted.
Right. I couldn't make it means I tried.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be able to make it suggests there were obstacles in your path that you tried to overcome. I can't come, on the other hand, sounds like a fixed, immovable choice that you have simply decreed.
It implies the effort was there, which flatters the host, like I tried, but I failed.
Yes.
And speaking of the reality of obstacles, we also have to talk about time as a currency. When you cancel, you are usually disrupting someone else's timeline. So adding a contextual apology is vital, specifically saying, I'm so sorry for the short notice.
Crucial phrase right there.
Right, because if you cancel at 4:0 p.m. for a 6:0 p.m. dinner, you aren't just missing dinner, you are causing a logistical headache.
And acknowledging that short notice is a profound display of respect for the other person's time. You are validating that you're aware your cancellation has a ripple effect on their schedule.
Yeah.
It shows a high level of self-awareness and situational empathy, which prevents the other person from feeling like you view their time as expendable.
There's actually a great real-world example of this exact formula in action from the sources. Someone had planned a movie trip with a friend, and they had it on the calendar for a whole week. But on the day of the movie, they were just absolutely decimated by a crazy week at work.
We've all been there.
Truly. So instead of panicking, ghosting, or sending a blunt "I can't come" text, they combined these specific phrases. They wrote, I hate to do this, and I'm so sorry for the short notice, but I'm exhausted.
It's perfect synthesis.
And the result was total understanding. The friend replied immediately with, of course, get some rest. It just proves that honesty, when it's packaged in this warm, considerate, high-syllable language, it protects your energy without causing a single ounce of guilt. You don't ruin your own night, and you don't damage the friendship.
Because they use the empathetic opener, they acknowledge the inconvenience of the timing, and they provided a highly relatable human reason. It leaves absolutely zero room for the friend's brain to construct a narrative where they feel personally slighted.
Which brings us to a massive psychological hurdle, preserving the relationship after the fact. Because canceling an event so easily feels like a rejection of the person.
It really does.
If I cancel on you, the anxious part of your brain might instantly whisper, oh, they just don't want to hang out with me. So to neutralize that, you have to bridge the present cancellation to a future interaction. And the classic English phrase for this is asking to take a rain check.
Yes.
Meaning it's a no for today, but a guaranteed yes for later.
The rain check is one of the most brilliant conversational tools we have. Historically, and this is a fun fact for our English learners, it originated in baseball.
Oh, right.
Yeah, if a game was rained out and couldn't be played, the ticket holders were given a physical paper voucher, a rain check, allowing them to return and see a game on another day. So when you apply that to a social context, it does something psychologically vital. It entirely separates the event from the relationship.
It tells them the weather is the problem, not the friendship.
Precisely. It communicates, my inability to attend tonight is strictly about my current logistical circumstances. It is absolutely not a reflection of my desire to spend time with you.
It's a promise that the door is still wide open. Now, if you want to be a bit more specific about adjusting the timeline, there are formal and casual ways to do it. You can ask to reschedule, which is universally understood but can feel just a tiny bit corporate.
Yeah, like you're moving a dental appointment.
Exactly. Or you can use the more relaxed version, asking to push it back.
Push it back is highly effective for informal, close relationships because of the spatial metaphor it employs. When you ask to push something back, you aren't actually canceling or destroying the event. You are simply taking the event and sliding it further down the timeline.
Oh, I love that imagery.
Right. The event itself remains completely intact in both of your minds. It just occupies a different physical slot on the calendar.
That spatial metaphor makes a huge difference in how it's received. Let's look at what happens when you strip all of this warmth away. Imagine someone gets sick with a terrible cold right before a big dinner with a good friend. They feel awful, but they are so paralyzed by the anxiety of canceling that they just shoot off a painfully blunt text, I can't come, sorry.
Ugh, that is the ultimate cold text. It's a completely finalized transaction devoid of any human warmth.
Right, and predictably, the friend's feelings were genuinely hurt. They interpreted that short staccato text as a lack of care. But if they had just tweaked the phrasing to, I've come down with a cold, can we take a rain check?
So much better.
It conveys the exact same logistical information, I am not going to be at the restaurant, but it completely saves the friendship.
This really highlights the inherent danger of how we communicate through text messages. Texting strips away prosody.
Prosody.
Yeah, prosody is like the tone of your voice, your facial expressions, your body language, all the nonverbal cues that usually soften our words and convey affection are completely gone.
Wow.
Because of that absence, the words themselves have to work overtime to carry the warmth. I can't come, sorry, reads like a finalized rejection. But I've come down with a cold, can we take a rain check? Reads like an ongoing collaborative dialogue.
And if you really want to supercharge that dialogue and show them you care, you can acknowledge the social debt you've just incurred. You can use the phrase, I'll make it up to you. It's a promise of a future kindness.
It is a powerful signal of investment. By saying, I'll make it up to you, you are voluntarily taking on an obligation to balance the social ledger. You're telling the other person that the relationship is valuable enough that you are willing to incur a debt to maintain it.
Okay, I hear that, but let me challenge that idea for a second.
Okay.
If I cancel because I'm already exhausted and overwhelmed, doesn't saying I'll make it up to you just kind of kick the anxiety can down the road?
How do you mean?
Well, now, not only am I tired today, but I have this looming pressure that I owe them a grand gesture like paying for a fancy lunch or planning a big outing. Doesn't that just make me dread the next interaction even more?
That's a very sharp observation. If you treat it like a literal financial debt that requires a massive payout, yes, it will cause anxiety. But in social exchange theory, making it up to someone doesn't necessarily mean a grand, expensive gesture.
Oh, it doesn't.
Not at all. It can be as simple as you being the one to initiate the text for the next hangout, or, offering to drive next time. The value isn't in the monetary or energetic cost of the gesture. The value is in the acknowledgement that you recognize the inconvenience you caused. It's about restoring equilibrium, not throwing a parade.
Okay, that feels much more manageable. It's just taking the wheel for the next round of planning. So let's look at a scenario where you aren't necessarily sick and you aren't just tired, but you are completely drowning in obligations.
Life is just happening too fast.
Exactly. And there are some fantastic, highly visual English idioms used for being too busy, being swamped, or being snowed under.
They are incredibly evocative. For those learning English, swamped immediately conjures the visceral image of being stuck in rising, murky water, physically unable to move easily.
Like a literal swamp.
Exactly. And snowed under gives the impression of being completely buried beneath a blizzard of tasks, isolated and hidden from the world.
The psychology behind these specific idioms is absolutely brilliant. By comparing your workload to a literal natural disaster, a swamp or a blizzard, you are doing this masterful diplomatic trick of shifting the blame.
Oh, 100%.
Think about it. You wouldn't be mad at a friend if they couldn't make it to dinner because they were caught in an actual avalanche, right? So when you say, I'm swamped, you are effectively telling the person, I am a victim of my schedule. I am not actively choosing my work over you. The work has overwhelmed me.
You are externalizing the locus of control. The conflict is no longer between me and you. The conflict has been redirected. It is now between me and this uncontrollable force of nature. By removing your own human agency from the equation, you completely neutralize any hint of personal rejection. It prevents the other person's brain from getting defensive because there is no human antagonist to be mad at, just the metaphorical weather.
It is such a smart way to bypass the ego, but what about when the invitation just arrives? Like you haven't made a commitment yet, you look at the text, and you instantly know you can't go. How do you reject them gently right out of the gate without making them feel foolish for asking?
The most elegant linguistic solution here relies on creating a temporal boundary. The phrase is, I'll have to pass this time, combined immediately with, thank you for the invite. The crucial mechanism making this work is the phrase, this time.
Right. Because if you just say, I'll have to pass, it sounds like a permanent, lifelong decree. It sounds like you are passing on the friendship entirely.
Yes, it sounds closed. But adding the temporal marker this time implicitly suggests that there will be a next time, and that your answer might be different under different circumstances.
It keeps the door propped open for future invitations.
Exactly. And coupling it with, thank you for the invite, validates the other person's social effort. It basically says, I recognize and deeply appreciate that you wanted to include me even though my current reality won't allow it.
It's incredibly gracious. It validates them while protecting you. And it prevents that awful feeling of leaving someone in limbo. Which brings us to the final piece of the puzzle. When you cancel, you cannot just drop the bomb and disappear into the night.
Please don't do that.
Right. You need to suggest a next step to prove you actually want to see them. And the perfect phrase for this is, let's pencil something in. I love the imagery of this. Think about pencil lead. It's graphite. It's not permanent marker. It inherently implies flexibility.
The pencil metaphor is exactly right for lowering the stakes of a new commitment. If you have just canceled on someone because you were overwhelmed, setting a rigid, ironclad new date right away is going to feel incredibly stressful for both of you.
Yeah, you might just end up canceling again.
Which is the worst case scenario. Let's pencil something in. Drastically reduces that pressure. It signals your intention to meet up without demanding absolute stressful certainty. And when you close that interaction with, I owe you one, you are sealing the entire exchange with gratitude and a promise of future connection.
So if we step back and look at the anatomy of all of this, what is the core takeaway? Canceling a plan is not an inherently bad thing. It is not a social crime.
Not at all.
It's a completely normal human need because our energy levels fluctuate, our schedules explode, and unexpected things happen. When you cancel with care using soft openers, high syllable cushions, warm bridges, and clear boundaries, you aren't breaking a friendship, you are actually preserving it.
That's beautifully said.
You're protecting your friend's feelings by assuring them of their value, and you are fiercely protecting your own energy.
It is a delicate, continuous balance of self-care and social grace. However, if we look at the broader behavioral implications of mastering all these strategies, it does raise a somewhat provocative question.
Oh, I'm ready. Lay it on me.
If we internalize all these linguistic tricks, if we become incredibly skilled at deploying the perfect, polite, guilt-free cancellation texts, Is there a danger that we might make it a little too easy for ourselves to flake?
Oh, wow.
Right. If we completely remove the social friction and the guilt of canceling, do we risk slowly isolating ourselves? How do we find the balance between fiercely protecting our own energy and actually doing the hard, exhausting, but necessary work of showing up for the people who matter most in our lives?
That is a phenomenal question because you're right. If I have the perfect get out of jail free card, I might use it every single time I feel just a tiny bit tired. And suddenly I look up and I haven't seen my best friend in 6 months. We have to make sure we aren't weaponizing polite language to actively avoid living our lives.
It requires rigorous, honest self-assessment. Whenever you are staring at that blinking cursor, you have to ask yourself, are you canceling because you truly need the rest? Or are you canceling because it's simply the path of least resistance?
We will leave you with that to mull over. Take these conversational tools, practice them, understand the psychology behind them, and use them to protect your peace. But make sure you are still showing up for your people when it counts.
Absolutely.
So next time you are sitting there at 6:00 p.m., dreading that blinking cursor, remember, you have the vocabulary now, you know how to be honest, and you know how to be kind. Hit send, drop the phone, and go get some rest. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.